Hey guys, thanks for joining us over here. I'm joined this morning by Suzanne Rauer. I'm Simon Gould, and we are going to be spending the next 12 minutes or so talking about thriving through COVID and how we see everybody coming out the other side. Good morning, Suzanne. Good afternoon.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So we'll get straight to it. It's April 30.
Yeah.
We're 6 weeks for a lot of people into quarantine, self-isolation, social distancing, all words that none of us had heard of probably just even 8 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Certainly, we wouldn't have been thinking of being here on January 1st, just a few months back. So how are you doing?
Yeah, good question. Actually, I'm really well. So thanks for asking. I think it's a really, really important question, which in the past we always or only just asked like a little bit of a, yeah, how are you? Yeah, I'm fine. It's all great. But the question as such is becoming more and more important, right? Because we really have to pause and say, how are you? And people will say, yeah, I'm fine. I'm like, no. How are you really? Are you well? Right. And I think that's a really, really important question. So I'm well. I have to say, it is a strange time, but secretly I'm loving it. I'm spending more time with the people I really love. I can still do my work via video conversations. My clients, I'm so glad and happy that I can help them through this time, and just pivot, adapt, and be flexible much faster
and so quickly as well. I think we're seeing years of change happen in weeks.
Yeah,
things that would take years within corporations.
Yeah,
corporations that have got thousands of employees globally.
Yeah,
shifting their whole 95% of their workforce home. Yeah. Bang.
In 1 week or something like that. You're so right. Have you heard about this joke? Who drove really the agenda about working flexible and remote working, especially. Was it your a CEO? Like, nope. Your CIO? Nope. Your COO? Nope. Well, COVID-19, and yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Because it is, we have, as you said, accelerated to a point where we would have maybe never gotten to, or maybe in 10 to 20 years, because everyone is talking about it for years already. But especially people, leaders, there were mainly two categories. One of the category was, loving it, trusting my team, go do whatever you have to do to be productive and the best version of yourself. Yet the minority of managers were still, skeptical. They didn't trust their employees. They didn't trust that they would work
from home,
working from home.
Yeah.
Yet the reality is I'm interested how you go, but and how you experience this. But the reality is most of us working even more from home.
Absolutely.
Because there's no distraction, there's no coffee chat or chat at the water. What do you call it?
The water cooler.
The water cooler.
It's very, very interesting point and question for you though. How, and I've been thinking about this with my team. My team's very happy. So for those of you who don't know, we're a team of about a dozen. We're distributed throughout Sydney, the northern New South Wales coast, as well as overseas, Philippines and India for some of our technical work as well.
It's a great team.
Thank you. How do you see that change? We're having this conversation now. You and I know each other. We've got to know each other very well over the last 12 months, and we'd always bump into each other around our office. How do you see, though, that affecting sort of the social interaction with that lack of interaction now. Just to say, my team's very happy working from home. They all feed back to me, super productive. There's no commute, there's no coffee chat, as you say, there's nobody walking past wanting to distract me, and we're getting more work done. We're definitely busier than we have been. Very grateful for that during this time.
Hashtag thriving through COVID-19, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we'll talk more about these sort of two streams, I think, a little later on. But the fact that there is none of this interaction, but you're getting more work done. How do you see that maybe from a mental health? I mean, obviously you're a conscious leadership coach, helping people, with leadership, leadership coaching, business coaching, career coaching. So helping them be the best they can be. How do you view that removal of that interaction, let's say, at least for the, next little while?
It is, I see it in a way that has nothing really to do with COVID-19. But as we said, COVID-19 is an accelerator. It's just fast tracking everything we have thought about doing in the future, or also the challenges which we had in the past. So if people are having challenges right now, during this COVID-19 times, and we are, how many weeks are we in? 6, 7, 8? Your team was one of the first ones who, went home straight away. And I saw that, and 2 days later I did the same thing, but it wasn't mandatory back then. So there are people in, working from home for such a long time. And there is, I think the muscle which we are forced to train is our flexibility muscle, our resilience muscle, our muscle of being able to adapt very quickly to a situation again and again. And I think I've mentioned this to you already, because I started so early in during this phase. I worked from home, it was a little bit different, never did video coaching as such. And so it was very, very different. So, but I had to do big leadership strategy meetings for a whole day online.
That's right, I remember saying.
Had 2 days to prepare, needed to learn new tools, Luckily, I had it all sorted out in a physical room, so I just had to translate it to a virtual leadership team strategy workshop. But, I got into my rhythm, and then boom, my husband came home and worked from home as well. And then I'm like, who's sitting in my spot? That's my spot. So I needed to find a new spot. I needed to go into my old office here at home.
Yes.
Just declutter it and make it ready for me again. So, I think, and that's a case for so many people, you just had to do what it takes to adapt, right?
That's right, but it's funny, isn't it, when the mind, we're digressing a little bit off our technology talk, but it's still from a business leader point of view, adaptability, resilience, change, being able to pivot, all of those are important qualities, I think, that are all being not even tested. They're not even being tested. You're having to deliver on those now as well. This isn't a practice, is it?
It's like a stress test, right? It's just like, it's not like, oh yeah, let's try it a little bit. It's just like full on. And then as soon as you have adapted, 2 weeks later, boom, you have to change again. And then 2 weeks later, they change the restriction again, and boom, you have to adapt. And the question, from a conscious leadership point of view, how do you go? How is this experience for you? It is what it is, but are you making the best out of it? My heart goes out for the people who really have been impacted health-wise or financially. I'm not talking about those people, because this has been a challenging time, and I get that. But most of the knowledge worker, if they haven't been working in an industry which was impacted very, very strongly, most of the knowledge worker have been, been okay throughout this time. There was no pay cut so far. There was no impact as such. But yet, now they're at home with their kids, for example. They have to be a teacher, they have to be a mom, a dad, you know, a partner, the leader, the follower.
Yeah, and all within under one roof.
Yeah.
24/7, times where we've had to survive and thrive. And I guess that brings us back to the theme of this talk, really, isn't it? Is thriving through this period. Today, again, as I said, April 30th, we started working from March 13th, so about 6 weeks in. I think you were a couple of days after.
Yeah.
So about 6 weeks. They're now talking about starting to open things up in another 2 weeks. So to our people, the people watching, as you and I were talking about yesterday, whilst we were discussing this, our little chat, you know, are you making the most of this time at home with family? What are you able to work on? What are you able to use this time to get a different perspective on things? And I guess if we're talking on along the business vein, as well, how do you use these next 2 weeks? Because before too long, in 2 weeks' time, and
might be all, you know, different again.
Different again.
It won't be over. Let's face it. No. It won't be over for a couple of months. Who knows? But you know, it's so good. You know, because we talked about yesterday. I asked my husband when we went for our evening walk the same question. You know, and I also would like, you know, a really good question for parents is if this would be this working from home 100% would be over in 2 weeks. What would your kids tell you about the time they had together with you?
Yes.
You know, like just fast forward a little bit. And this is about conscious leadership. So, and, you know, a leader, not as part only, you know, as being a business leader, as being a leader in a corporation, but also how are you leading your family as a mom, as a dad, as a grown-up sister or brother? You know, how are you leading this part? And are you, when you're looking back to it, would you be happy and proud of it? Or could you do something else? Because if there's something to improve, why don't you improve it right now? You know, today.
Yeah.
You know, is this the best time you could have had given the circumstances?
Yes. No, look, absolutely. And I think, I find, speaking from personal experience, you know, my commute from home to the office was about 40 minutes, door to door. But I find that the difference in mindset, the difference in mood of not having that commute, just in our dynamic in our family, where you just, you know, dinner's, obviously I've got a young one, so dinner's early for us. But just the difference in mindset, the difference in starting the day as well, without having to have trudged through the city and past 100,000 other people who 95% of whom are miserable on their commute coming in. You've only got to look around, you know, the streets to see people, you know, majority of people aren't happy. So it will be very interesting to see. There's a lot of talk as well about how does the office look post-COVID, not post-COVID, but, you know, post-COVID, in the era of COVID, whatever we call it, because as you say, it's going to be around for a while. But how does that office look? I know there's a lot of people who are saying, man, stuff that. Why would I go back into the office? And there's a lot of corporations that are saying, do we need this much space?